I just took a step forward. That's what you do. You take a step forward. And I think that is the hardest thing to do, is to get the ball rolling.
What's up, pals, and welcome back to another episode of The Passion Project. I'm your host, Hallee Smith, visual storyteller and creator on TikTok and YouTube. I hope that this podcast can inspire you to get out of your comfort zone and into your passions so that you can live a truly fulfilling life. And the best part about it is we're on this journey together. So let's go. Welcome back, Podcast Beans. Today, we have another guest. His name is Joey Kinsley, also known more famously as Sir Yacht. Sir Yacht is a comedic content creator that primarily focuses on challenge content, sports content, Ohio, and pop culture. He's very well known in Ohio, especially the Cleveland area, and he's one of my best friends one of my best content creator friends. He's really a great person. He has a really compelling story, and it's really inspiring too. So you're going to hear all of that today. We get into all sorts of good topics. He's currently working on reinvesting his money from incoming short form content brand deals into bigger challenge YouTube videos. So he's going all in on his dreams. And that's what we're going to talk about today. He was also on seasons 21 and 22 of Food Network's Worst Cooks in America. So he's a very entertaining guy. And last but not least, he is a recording artist, which you'll hear about is his real passion. And he's working on some new music, including a song called Somebody to Love. So lots of fun stuff to look forward to in today's episode. Definitely listen to it all the way through because there are some great tidbits in here. You're going to hear a really inspiring story about going all in on your dreams. So without further ado, pals, let's jump right in. All right, Joey, welcome to the podcast, or should I say Sir Yacht?
Something like that. Yeah, thank you for having me on. Yeah, whatever you want to call me.
For those of you listening, not on video, he saluted you guys.
I did. I saluted. Yeah, I always forget we're on a podcast, and I got to you can't just visually do things. You got to
unless of course they're watching on YouTube, right?
Yes, of course, which you should be. So
right. So I gave you a little introduction to everybody before we jumped on here. So you're a content creator, you're a recording artist, you're on Worst Cooks in America. Would you consider yourself multi-passionate?
Yeah, I'm one of those people that can't do one thing or can't do anything at all. My girlfriend's very she can, after her doing medical school and stuff, she can go and watch Netflix and do nothing and just veg. And I can't do that. I always have to be doing something, otherwise my anxiety levels just peak. And then I can't just be doing one. Yeah, I just can't just be doing one thing either. I have to be doing content and then a bunch of different styles of content, and then music, and then just anything I can do, I try to do. I just can't be doing one thing.
Of course. And yeah, and you do all the things, you do all this full time. So what I like to lead with, what was everybody's journey? What got you to where you are? So out of all these things, was there one thing that got you started or got you interested on this path to being able to do all these different things and be a full-time content creator?
Yeah, it's so funny because I've always wanted to do something entertainment, but it's not just I want to make videos. I never really was a big video guy. I always wanted to do something in music. That's where the Sir Yacht name came from. It's just my artist name. So it's so funny because I was just going back through my Facebook, just looking through old posts and stuff like that in preparation for this. So a few days before Christmas 2017, released a song with my band, My Ski Club. And whatever, I thought it was a really, really good song. It didn't perform that well. And it was just that was after years and years of posting. And it was just so frustrating because it felt like it was just going nowhere.
And you were posting specifically for Maui Ski Club?
Yeah, I'm doing my own solo stuff as well. So it's kind of what I do now, just a mix between band and my own my solo stuff. I determine however I feel fit. So I talked to my friend, T Mello. He's been really instrumental in my content career. And I'm man, I'm just straight up so bummed right now. I really want to do music and it just isn't working out. I was just so depressed. A few days before Christmas, usually you're supposed to be so happy. He's I don't know, man. Maybe God's just trying to bring you in another direction. Just look out for it. Here soon. Just maybe you're not supposed to do music. Maybe you are. Maybe you're supposed to do something else with music. I don't know. And I'm man, that's crazy. That's all I wanted to do is music. And it's so funny because, yeah, it's so funny because like 10 days later, not even 10 days later, um, the Cleveland Browns go 0-16. I'm so bummed. I'm so hurt. And my friend, same friend, T Mello, he's like, you need to make a rant on this. I'm like, man, I don't do that stuff. I don't make videos or any of that stuff. He's like, you need to do it. I'm like, fine, we'll do it tomorrow. It's New Year's Eve. I want to have a good time. And I wasn't supposed to be there. I was supposed to be on the east side of Cleveland with my mom's side of the family. They run like a big place every year. And he's like, no, we're going to do it now. I'm like, all right, fine. Like, we'll make the video. I'll wait for my brother to get off work, and then we'll drive to the east side, which ended up not happening. But I made the video and just put this rant together on iMovie, which I've used for like 3 years. I finally got Final Cut Pro. And for whatever reason, wake up on New Year's Day 2018, and it gets on SportsCenter Snapchat. I get like 5 or 10 texts from people saying they got on SportsCenter Snapchat. And then it went viral on Twitter. And it's got all this attention out of nowhere. And I was like, holy cow. And it was,
so that was your first big thing. See, I didn't even know that. So your career, your passion, it all started with music.
yeah. And yeah.
Joey and I have been friends, and most people know him by Sir Yacht. Most people know you by Sir Yacht. It's funny because I'll say, Joey, like, who's that? I'm like, Sir Yacht. And they're like, oh, I know who that is. Yeah, I know who that is.
I never get called my real name anymore. It's so funny.
So I don't know. I just got in the habit of calling you Joey, but Sir Yacht, for reference, we'll call you Sir Yacht the rest of the episode. We've known each other for about 2 years now, and we talk content all the time. And I actually didn't know that about you. So that's really interesting that's where it all started. So you had this piece of content. You finally went all in. You said with the editing, you got Final Cut Pro, and it went viral for the first time. So what were you thinking at that moment?
It was crazy because it was an accident. Like, I just posted it. I had a Twitter account, but I would just like tweet sports and stuff. And honestly, I was thinking about deleting my like social media in general and just like getting off everything. I was like, I don't even
like a mental health cleanse.
I was making these videos and like seeing that they were doing really well. And it wasn't even that the videos were doing well that got me passionate about it. It was just like me putting myself out there, putting like my raw emotion out there, and just making like, there's something about like, there's just something about making a video and just like pressing post, pressing publish, like whatever it is, and just kind of putting yourself out there. There's really something about that.
It changes the dynamic of the video, because it was once yours. It means something different almost once it's released, because then it's public content.
Yeah, because I mean, it's kind of funny, like saying like it's a piece of art, because like I'm just like a lot of the times I'm just doing something really stupid online. But it really is. It's something that like you like hold something really deep in, and then you're like it's vulnerable. You're putting yourself out there in front of a bunch of people. So I got addicted to that, and I started posting. Like, I actually didn't post for a couple weeks again because I let this like kid from like St. Ed's. It was a high school up in Cleveland, for people that don't know. Yeah, he was like, "This is the most cringe video I've ever seen in my entire life." And meanwhile, I'm getting thousands of likes and thousands of like positive stuff. But like, let this one thing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I didn't post but I literally made a verbal agreement to myself out loud. And I was like, I am not going to give a damn about what people think about me. Whether it's like, and even like being too high, like I gotta stay like in the middle, but even mostly the negative stuff. So it took a while, honestly, like putting yourself out there, like you get used to it. And now, like right now, if people like say anything negative about me, for the most part, I really just like, I think it's funny, or like I try to use it in like a sense of content. But yeah, I started posting on weekly videos on like the Browns and the Cavs, and then like kind of expanded out into more things, and then Twitter, and then discovered TikTok and a bunch of other stuff along the way. It was an accidental journey that like turned into a huge passion.
Accident. I think a lot of times it feels like an accident to us, or to whoever it's happening to, but in reality, it's a mix between hard work and good luck. Because obviously you were putting the work in, you were so passionate about music, and then you had this moment that got you started, got you taken off, and got you noticed by people. And that couldn't have happened if you weren't putting yourself out there and putting the work in.
That's the thing too, is like legitimately just putting yourself out there. You're like, I
being visible, showing up. Yeah.
Connected with so many people on social media, or just like that opportunity, this content stuff never would have happened if my friend wasn't like for whatever reason, he was like, you need to post it, like a rant, like on this. I'm like, man, I'm like, I don't know. I just don't want to. And then there's so many times like across this journey, I'm sure you felt it as well, Hallie, where like you just don't want to post something that day. And like, you're like, fine, I guess I'll post it, whatever.
It's
It's
hard
probably
to
not gonna be great,
separate your
whatever.
emotions and like your personal feelings. It's like you have to think of it as business almost if you're a content
Yeah.
creator specifically,
Yeah.
because it is, and this circles back to what you're saying about it being a piece of art. A lot of times I think people don't see it that way because they see it as social media. They see it as, oh, they're just trying to get views, but it is a form of art. And I think about that all the time. And so with art comes you're attached to it. You have some level of attachment. And so it's hard. It's hard when to put yourself out there when, and that doesn't have to be social media. It can be whatever you're passionate about. If you have some sort of attachment to it, if you're passionate about it, it's hard when people, have something bad to say about it.
Yeah, definitely, definitely. And what's crazy too is a lot of those times where I felt like I didn't want to post, I didn't want to put anything out there. I didn't think it was going to be good. Some of those are like my most highest performing videos. I don't know why. Like it's the lesson of just literally just putting yourself out there and seeing what happens. And then you got the highs, you got the lows, and the consistency of posting content and stuff like that's just gonna take care of that for you. But I've been so lucky on my journey, honestly. Like I'm really good at striking an iron when it's hot. But my first ever video on Twitter and my first ever, like, I posted some stuff on TikTok, but it was just Twitter videos repurposed, and like horizontal. But I was like, all right, I'll make like an actual like vertical video for TikTok. My first ever TikTok video got 2 million views. I mean, like, I'm telling you, like, in terms of like, yeah, I mean, like, I had other posts, but I deleted them. But they were just re-uploaded from other things. But like my first ever, all right, I'm gonna make a TikTok video. Like, it was on what traffic signs in Ohio mean. It was just so stupid. But I that's a lot of my content is just like dumb stuff that I think is funny. So I post it, but it did well. And I know a lot of people don't have that where they're like, maybe they post a few videos and then finally like one like does really well. It's like, no, like my first ever Twitter video and my first ever TikTok video went viral, and I'm like, all right, I gotta strike this iron while it's hot.
Yeah, that's smart. And it's good that you could recognize that. I think a lot of people, sometimes you don't recognize when something's gonna when something's working and then you change paths too fast. But then there's also the flip side of it. Like you said, people might be posting consistently and they're not getting that traction. But I think that's where you have to just start experimenting, because if you relate that to you in the beginning with music, that's essentially where you were.
Yeah,
You were
exactly.
stuck, you were feeling down because it wasn't working. And so you had to try something else.
It's crazy. How kind of things just happen, and I feel like they happen for a reason. But right before TikTok became a thing, I feel like TikTok just kind of came at the perfect time in my life, and a lot of things really came from COVID. I know it destroyed a lot of people's lives, but it also, like, in terms of content, like, really made people's lives. I have a career because a lot of people were paying attention at that time. But even before that, I was sick for like 2 months. I was Liam Neeson stand-in for a movie that he was in here in Cleveland for a month. And at that time, my boss,
Stand and wait.
yeah, I was Liam Neeson. I was Liam. So the year before, in 2018, my friend was in production for an Amazon pilot that was filming in Cleveland called College. And long story short, had to say some words that I'm not allowed to say. Just because I'm white. But that was my role. Is like, I was supposed to be this fraternity brother that just like sang this song, and it was called My Ninja. Except it wasn't called ninja. It was called another word. Anyways, I had to wear a Speedo and a visor, and I wore a thong under the Speedo, and that was all I wore, and I was called Speedo Bro. And anyways, it didn't air, thank God. But that was my role. And it was terrifying. And I was like, this is the first time I've ever acting for like anything. And I'm like, I'm gonna get canceled. Like no, it's like these people are like, no, it's just acting. You're good. You're fine. I'm like, they're like, we're black. You like we gave you the pass. And I'm like, I don't even know what's going on. Like, this is so uncomfortable.
But the public's not going to think the same.
But anyways, that was a blessing in disguise because of the Liam Neeson thing. So the same casting company reached out to me a year later and was like, you're the person like in Cleveland that matches his like frame, his look, his height. And I'm like, damn, I'm not. Liam Neeson's a good looking dude. Thank you, but I'm like, no way. But they're like, no, no, seriously, like we think you'd be perfect. You'd be like his like stand-in in Cleveland. For and people don't know what stand-in is. You're kind of like they're framing the shot and the lighting around you. So all that Liam Neeson has to do is come in and act. And so I'm doing everything Liam's doing before he's doing it, except he's doing it much better. So I'm like holding all these like fake guns and props and stuff like that, and doing all these like things. So anyways, we did it for a week. And this is a long story, but it plays into what I was kind of talking about.
It'll tie in. It'll tie in. Bear with us.
Yes, it will.
I mean, this is interesting. People are still here.
Yeah. I was on set for a week, and my boss at the time, I was working sales. He let me do it for a week, and they wanted me to do it for the remaining 3 weeks of the shoot. So I went back to my boss, and I was driving with my girlfriend at the time, and I was listening on the phone, and he's like, you think your girlfriend who's in medical school is going to stay with you working these like 10 to 15 hour, $1 an hour jobs? Like, you need to get something like that. You need to quit your dreams. Like, you keep posting too much content and stuff like that. You got to do something that's going to make you hundreds of thousands of dollars and leave all that stuff behind. Like, that's what I did. Like, I wanted to be like a baseball player, and like I quit the minors to build this company with my dad. He's like, so you either are going to go back there, so you're going to come back here next week, or you quit. And I, without hesitation, said I quit. He gave me a job back 3 days later because he didn't think I was going to quit. But then all that Liam Neeson stuff was great. But then he gave me a promotion, which is out from inside sales to outside sales. Gave me a terrible territory with the company he just acquired. I made no money for 3 months. I was sick for 2 months. Maxed out my credit card. Had like thousands of dollars in hospital bills. And at that point, I was just making no money, and I was just like drowning. And I felt like I was like stuck in content. I was just like, I don't know what's going on. Like, nothing is working right now. I finally got a job like with a salary with a marketing company, and like I was super thankful for that at the time. And it wasn't even that much money really, but it was just like money coming in. Like I could pay off my debt and stuff like that. And then COVID happened, and right before COVID, I put out that TikTok video, and boom. Like all this positive stuff happens. Like I swear to God, I was at rock bottom. Like I had no money, maxed out everything, was like trying to take out loans and stuff like that. And just was mentally just crumbling. And then TikTok comes along and just kind of spurs like this like new, like I had a passion in content, but it rejuvenated it because I was lost for a little bit. So, and then Twitter started doing well, and Instagram started picking up and stuff like that. And just, long story short, like there were so many things that happened. I felt like for a reason. So
ultimately,
yeah,
all these things have happened. You had all these really cool opportunities, and you had these really difficult moments. What was it that you feel, aside from TikTok, things that you've done, that you did to stay open to opportunity that allowed you to get out of these ruts? Because clearly, you're taking on all these opportunities. And so you're open.
So like what you're asking, like what did I do to like mentally be like on?
Yeah. Like what steps, like if somebody's in a rut right now, like somebody listening to this is stuck, they feel like, their passion isn't working, or maybe they're at that rock bottom point. What do they do?
I love that. I love this conversation. It's a very important one. I think a lot of creators like don't know how to deal with stuff like that because this is such a new thing. So what I kind of do, a big thing I do is just like if I need a break, I'll take a break. I don't really take any breaks longer than like a day or two though. I know people have taken for weeks and stuff, and like for me, like I just can't. But everybody's different. One thing I always do too is like I feel like it's very therapeutic to post content. Like I kind of just post through it. That's what I always say. And like there's just something about creating and like the process of it that I really, really enjoy. Especially just like, I do like a lot of rants and stuff like that for like sports. And for me, like that's like very therapeutic because I'm putting my emotions out there.
I think that the advice to take a break it sounds counterintuitive, but it's so important because when you are in that place of feeling like you're at rock bottom, that might be when you need to take a break, because you need to think, you need to plan, you need to have clarity on where you want to go next.
Yeah, and that's one thing I'm not very good at is like being comfortable taking a break. Because every time I take one, I'm like, I feel like I'm not doing anything. I feel like I'm like falling behind. This is a long career though. Keep in mind, like this is not a career that is gonna fade out. No, it is, and we're both like in our 20s and stuff too. It's like not something that's just gonna end after our 20s. Like this is something that's gonna be like we're gonna do for a very very long time. Like however it's going to evolve. So like that's something I'm trying to get better at, and I've been like sick for the past couple weeks. I'm good now, but I was sick, and then I was traveling for a month before that. So like I literally had to take a break, and there was some peace in that. For like the first few weeks, I was like, I hate this. Like I'm a bum. Like I'm not creating. But like after a while, I was like, you know what, this is okay. Like, and and you start to like think of new ideas, and you start to brainstorm there, and the pre-work before going into content is important. Like a lot of stuff I do is very spontaneous, but there's also a lot like, you know, in preparation, and with a lot of your content, you obviously have a lot of preparation, and you know, it's very evident. That's one thing I sometimes am good at, but most of the time not. It's just like, hey, I want to make a video today. Let's just do it. And we'll see what happens. So.
Yeah, I can totally attest to that. And I think that is a really good piece of advice too. Just the planning that goes into any creative work is a lot more than you'd think. Especially, I'm sure, with writing music. I can't even imagine. Like, I always think it would be cool to write music, but I'm like, oh my gosh, like, where would I even start?
Yeah, it's so funny. Yeah, because there's a process with that. There's a process with music, and I like some things will come like together like in a week. Some will come together like I'll leave it like for a year, and it's so funny because it's the exact opposite of what I do with content for the most part. Now, like for these bigger YouTube things like that we're working on, there has to be a lot more planning. There has to be, you know, you can't just walk up and bike the state of Ohio like I've done. Like you have to like plan that.
Talk
like,
about that a little bit.
I know. Yeah.
But yeah, to get us back on track, because I know we went on a little tangent there, but
always do
a good tangent, I would say. So you're at this point where you didn't know what you're gonna do next. You're financially strained, and you're trying to, you know, come back, and you had these viral videos. I know at some point, was it in this mix that you went full time? Because Sir Yacht is a full-time creator now. So obviously that full-time income is coming from his creation process, everything he does online, his music. So at what point did you go full-time?
So I went full-time last year in February. So I've been full-time for about a year and a half. So I feel like another thing I got lucky too, another thing like I felt like that happened, and I'm like, oh, cool. Like I can try to make like an opportunity out of this. June or July of 2020, I got an email from the mayor of Struthers, Ohio, which is a suburb outside of Youngstown, Ohio. Her name is Kat Miller. She's still the mayor. She's the first mayor in that county's history, Mahoning County. Super cool. She's like, hey, I love your Ohio content, like all this stuff you make. You should come to our city and make a comedic promotional video for it. And I was like, I'm in. That'd be funny. They're like, we'll pay for your food, pay for expenses and stuff like that. I'm like, totally, that's cool. So we did that and posted it, went on a podcast, and looked an hour later, and it was like at 200,000 views. And it was like something I thought that maybe we get 10,000 views. And I was like, whatever. Like it was fun to make.
Was this on TikTok?
Yeah, it was on TikTok, and I think it's sitting at like 600,000 views right now on TikTok. And I was like, holy cow! And then I started getting emails from like other cities like Marietta, Ohio, and Amherst, and Youngstown, and a bunch of other things. And I made like 10 or 11 of those like town videos where I just would go and like experience everything. And then somebody was like, how much money are you making from that? One of my friends. And I was like, what do you mean? Like, dude, you're not charging these towns for videos? I'm like, no, like it's good content for me. They're like, yeah, but don't you want to go full time? Like you could make money off of this stuff. And I was like, oh, okay. Like, yeah, these towns and visitors bureaus have like budgets. So I started learning about that and started emailing like visitors bureaus in Ohio and like other states and things like that, and town governments, main streets, chambers of commerce, any marketing emails I could find. I emailed 40 to 50 people a night, scheduled it for the next morning. So I'm not a morning person, but here's the trick. You send an email and you schedule it for you schedule an email for like not 7 a.m., not 8 a.m., but like a 7:34 or something like that. Like, why would you schedule an email? Yeah. because people look at it and they're like, yeah, like no one schedules an email for like a 7:34 or 7:36 or something like that. You always like do a round time. So it's like, oh, this person's up. Yeah. Yeah. But if this gets out, it's fine. At this point, it's all good. But you put the email out and these people are like, oh, he's like up. He's like a morning person. Like he's great. I am the opposite of a morning person. But anyways, at that time, I was still doing my marketing job. I was working for LoraineCounty.com, kind of promoting the county. Which is so funny because it kind of tied into all this stuff that I was doing, even though my company was like, they didn't want to make videos and stuff like that because like it doesn't make us money. I'm like, okay, well it will.
And when you say your company, this was where you were working full time, right?
I was working full time there, and then I started. So in November of 2020, this is after I was on Worst Cooks in America for 2 seasons. I was made part time, so my salary cut in half, hours cut in half. I'm like, oh my god, like I don't know what to do. But I'm like, wait, I make these town videos. Why don't I just monetize them? So I started making money off of these videos. Then I started making more money off of these videos than I do my actual salary. But at that point, like, I'm just like kind of scared. Like there's still a stigma in my head and like my family and like my friends of like being a full-time creator. But then another blessing came in. I got let go in February of 2021 because of COVID. So at that point, I was like, well, I'm not going to go look for another job. Like, I'm making money off of this. I'll become a full-time creator. And I've never looked back a year and a half since.
That's awesome. I remember seeing your post when you officially made the announcement, and then you named, what did you name it? Say why you named it that? Your business?
What named what? Sorry.
The name of your business?
Oh, yeah, that's right. So my LLC is called Boat Boy LLC. And the reason why that is whenever I get made fun of online, a lot of people make names up like Sir Dinghy, Sir Kayak, but the most popular one is Boat
Kayak.
Boy. So yeah, then any watercraft of any sort, but the most popular one is Boat Boy. So every time I cast a check, I think of my haters. That's why it's called Boat Boy
Love
LLC.
that. Overcome it. What a better way to overcome the hate, right?
Oh, it's the best, especially if it's like a bigger check too. You're just like, thank you, haters. Thank you very much.
So you made the announcement, you started your business, You went all in. And what I've noticed about your story, and I think is something that everyone can keep in mind, whether you're an entrepreneur, whether you haven't started your passion project yet, whether you went all in and you're having these road bumps, it's that you've made a mindset shift at every point in the way. And you turned every hardship into an opportunity instead of letting it stop you. Yeah,
and that's something I think I've learned along the way. I've never really been good at that, but I don't know. Ever since I started making content, I've never wanted to do anything else. Like I said, I've always wanted to be in entertainment. I was like, maybe I'll go be an actor. I went out to a convention in Los Angeles and did really, really well at that convention. And I was like, oh, I'm gonna be an actor. Like, and of course, like no opportunities really came up. But I like in terms of content and things like that. I've always wanted to make videos ever since I started making them, and I've never wanted to do anything else. So even when I'm hitting these points of adversity, when I'm like, I feel like I'm at like a rock bottom in my head, or like financially, like I'm just like nothing is happening, like bills, I'm just drowning in debt, or in like just whatever is going on, content's always been there, and for me, I put like a lot of emotion into my content, so it's super therapeutic. So I don't know, I've always loved it. I've never wanted to do anything else since I started doing it. And I honestly don't think I'll ever run out of that passion. Like I truly just think it's going to be something I do for the rest of my life in some capacity.
It's your one thing. And I think the great thing about being a content creator is it allows us to have, you can do multiple you can do your music, you can do your sports content, you can do your Ohio content all in one, but you still have this one thing, this one niche, this one umbrella that kind of groups it all together and makes it possible for people to understand easily what you do and not just be like one of those people that does 20 different things.
Yeah, exactly. It's super cool with content because, like you said, you can just kind of overlap it with a bunch of different things. You don't have to. It really is whatever you want to do. If you want to be super hyper focused on one thing, that's fine. I can't personally do that. I try to kind of just narrow it down to a handful of things.
But ultimately you are, it feels that way. I think I feel that way too, but you are committed to the consistency. And I think that's what matters for anyone who's listening that might be the same way, because I'm literally the same way as you. Just keep posting, find that thing that's going to make you stay consistent and just keep going. You're the testament to it's only failure if you stop.
Yep.
You just got to keep going.
100%. And I think taking a step back and just kind of simplifying things, like there's so many people that like wake up every day and resent what they do or resent what they're going to do because they have to do it because their family is pressuring them, or they're just like, this is the thing I have to do. Like, I can't do this project. Like, I have to like work is not fun. Like, yeah, I go through adversity a lot. Sure. Like every human does in some capacity, but I get to wake up and like make videos. Like if you just kind of simplify it, like that is fun. That is exciting. And there's a lot of people that work for 40 years, retire, and then they decide to live their life, and then they can do what they want, or they can do they can do what they want like every 2 weeks of the year, like when they get vacation time or then when they get sick time and stuff like that. It's like, no, I want to be the person like Monday when we're recording a podcast or we're doing something like that, and that's my job. Like that is my job. That's how I make money. And I recognize not everybody can do that, or not everybody's at that point in their content career or whatever career they're in. So like, I'm like, and you take a step back sometimes, and I do like, here and there, like a few times a week. I'm like, damn, I am blessed. I really, really am. Like, this is cool. And that's like also something like psychologically that kind of gets me through like a rut, whether it's like creative rust or just like any anxiety just that I'm kind of dealing with through the day. Like, it's just like, man, I get to do, like, it's like not, I have to do something. It's like, I get to do this thing.
So that's one of the biggest things with this podcast. That's why I call it the Passion Project, is because I want more people to realize that. I want more people to, wake up and realize, am I doing what I really want? And maybe you are, but if you're not, it sometimes will take something outside of you to shake that thought in your head. The next question, I guess I should say the last piece of advice, because we've went through, I think, your whole journey, and it's really inspirational to see all of the major roadblocks you've overcome to get to where you are. What would be one piece of tangible advice for anybody who's listening that just heard your story that might, want to go after their passion project, or, just get out of whatever they're doing that they might realize they don't want to do anymore? What would be that one tangible thing that they should do to go after this passion or this dream?
You're here. I'm sitting down, so I can't really take a step. And visually, on the podcast listeners, I'm taking a step forward right now. I just took a step forward. That's what you do. You take a step forward. And I think that is the hardest thing to do, is to get the ball rolling. Because like we kind of said, like maybe our parents just like, it's just such a new thing content-wise, or whatever passion you're going into. Maybe it's like, well, you can't make money that way. Like you can't, like you can pretty much make money doing anything right now in 2022. If you're entertaining, or if you're, yeah, exactly. Like you can pretty much do anything. So like there's a lot of people that just have that passion, but are held back because they have whatever family ties, or like their friends, or somebody that they really, really look up to or respect. Doesn't think that they're going to make anything out of that career, make money, or sustain, or have a family and things like that. And I think it's just, it's out of love. Unfortunately, it's out of not knowing, but you and I are two testaments of that. Like that you can make a career out of content or something that you like you don't have to resent the type of work that you're doing. I have a quick story. There's a person, family friend of my girlfriend's, and we stayed at their place on a lake during COVID for a day. We went and visited, and it's just this beautiful lake down in North Carolina called Lake Norman. And the most magnificent house I've ever been in my entire life. Beautiful pool in the back, like pond, like it just, and the house was massive. But she lived on her own because her two kids moved out and live in different cities, got divorced. But this woman's so successful, has a huge hospital in North Carolina, especially for a woman in like surgery. Like that's just, it's unheard of. Incredibly successful career. And they were just, everybody's singing her praises. Like, wow, it's like, you got like, what a great life that you're living right now. And she's like, you know what? I'm kind of miserable right now. Like I would trade this any day of the week for being on my apartment floor in my 20s, eating pizza, no furniture, having no clue what I'm doing with my life, and loving every second of it. And there's something, and that I think about that every single day.
That gave me chills. That
So
actually
it's
just gave me chills.
But here's the thing, though. It's like that's kind of where we are right now, or where we have been. It's just like the process. Like, and a lot of people
be present in the process. Yes, I love
and
that.
People look too much. It's such a Gary Vee thing, but people look too much at the destination instead of falling in love with that journey and that process. And you work for this thing and you have everything, but maybe you don't have anybody to share it with, or you've accomplished so much that you're like, you were striving for this thing, you finally got it, but you didn't enjoy anything before that because you're like, I need to get here. And instead of like, you know what, like I'm here, I'm not up here yet, but I'm here and I'm still enjoying life, and I love like whatever is coming in, and I'm super thankful for it. So it's just like that really hit me, because it was like, holy cow, like it isn't just content and all this other stuff. Like there's life outside of it, like a family and like and friends, and appreciating that with people, but it's also just like enjoying that process and that daily grind every single day. And if you're falling in love with that, then like that is way more important than like the big attainable goal one day. Like that's important, like it's what you should strive for, but one day, like that's, you gotta the daily grind.
Yes, I like to say that all the time. I've had episodes on this and talked about it, just being present in the process. And that's also a way you can really figure out what you want to do. If you don't love the process, then maybe it's not right for you. So those were 2 great pieces of advice to end with. Number 1, just take a step. It doesn't matter if it's the right step, the wrong step, no matter what, you're moving, and it's better than being where you're at. So that was an amazing piece of advice to end on. The second thing is being present and trusting and enjoying the process. So Joey, Sir Yacht, I'm supposed to be saying, thank you so much for being on. Where can everybody find you?
Yeah, you can find me anywhere at Sir Yacht, Sir, and then like the boat. So Sir Yacht, and then I'm on YouTube, TikTok, Twitter. We're making a bunch of bigger YouTube videos. You can find me on Cameo. I'll roast your mom and dad. And a song coming. It's called Somebody to Love. It's going to be out in the next month or 2 in September, October. So it's good. Probably my best song yet. I'm super excited.
Everything will be linked in the show notes. So be sure to check out Sir Yacht. And Joey, thank you again for being on the podcast.
Thank you for having me on. Always great talking to you. Appreciate it.